Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing one of the most talked about new watches of 2019. This is the first ever Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht-Master 42. Technically referenced 226659. The watch is gorgeous. 42 millimeters in Rolex's own 18 karat gray gold alloy. It is a white gold that never needs to be rhodium plated. The watch is broad, spanning an impressive 50.3 millimeters lug to lug, but with nice tight and sharply downturned lug ends that allow it to wear well even on a smaller wrist like mine. Though it's a 42, it's also only 11.8 millimeters thick, so it's slimmer than a Daytona on the wrist. Those tend to be about 12.2 millimeters, and it has a nice modern build out with the lug spacing, 21 millimeters, so as you get further from the center of the case, everything remains proportional, lugs and strap. And that's another part of the news. We have an Oysterflex bracelet, and yes, it is a bracelet, a hybrid of vulcanized rubber on the outside with a titanium nickel alloy band that runs continuous inside. And Oysterflex is handsome. As you can see, it's nicely molded with attractive character lines that in many respects echo the shape of an oyster bracelet. You can see that it also swells nicely to match the profile of the lugs. Now the watch has an underside bellows system that sort of cinches the strap down to the wrist. Because you can't cut the strap, there are a number of accommodating features built in, such as this cinching system that also helps to ventilate the wrist, but above all helps to fit security. And I should mention that there is another innovation in the arrival of Glidelock on an Oysterflex clasp. So you have a full gray gold 18 karat clasp with double lock. You have the clamshell system, and then you have the lift lock system with its pivoted lever and its internal beacon hook system. But then you get a full 12 millimeters of adjustments in 2 millimeter increments. It's descended from the system used on the Sea Dwellers and the Submariners, and it gives you a great deal of flexibility in sizing. Just approximate the strap size, and Glidelock will get you the rest of the way there. Trip lock crown, 100 meters water resistant. You can see it's a white gold Rolex crown with the large center dot. Were it platinum, that pattern would be reversed with the big dots on the outside. Crown guard structure, you can see black polished case flanks, quite attractive. And it's not quite the super case profile, as there's still a little bit of a complex curvature and complex contouring to this case that sets it apart in elegance from the more blockish Sea Dwellers, Explorer 2s, and Submariners. The timepiece with a full white gold bezel. You can see that the bezel base itself is of white gold, and we'll give ourselves a bit more light here. The remainder is an insert in Rolex's proprietary Cerachrom ceramic, so highly scratch resistant. You can also see that the treatment is much like the original Oysterflex 40mm Yachtmaster, as you have polished and relieved numerals and indices, and then a matte base, bidirectional of course. It has a subtle and smooth indexing system that you can feel. You line up the triangular index with the minute hand. Now you have an impromptu 0 to 60 minute count up timer, which I find, along with dive bezels, far easier to read and more useful than a chronograph system. You also don't have the downstream maintenance costs of a chronograph. Get a little bit closer to the dial and you can see that it is a black lacquer and fairly standard Rolex fare. Very large indices, white gold indices, white gold hands, and you can see the Cyclops eye, which this watch wears a bit more naturally than the 40 millimeter watch, as it crowds the dial less and it seems to take the place of an index rather than colonize the entire face of the watch. 42 is a good size for a Cyclops eye. And of course underneath you can see there are some changes. Signs of the times. You have a white gold 42 millimeter Yachtmaster. You have the Rolex crown between Swiss and made at 6 o'clock. And then inside, Rolex's latest automatic caliber 3235, 31 joules, automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, quick set date, stop seconds. It features a sports watch architecture with a full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock resistance, an overcoil hairspring, a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring, so that the watch is able to keep excellent time in any orientation with respect to gravity. And the watch does feature a COSC Chronometer certification as a result, but Rolex also cases the movement after the test and retests the fully assembled watch, the consumer product that you buy, to time no worse than -2 plus 2 seconds per day. So the COSC, remember, is -4 plus 6, while Rolex tests to beyond -2 plus 2. That is the basis for the claim Superlative Chronometer. Now, the Overcoil uses a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy that gives the watch robust anti-magnetic qualities, so that is the Cerachrom blue alloy of which you may have heard. Also worth mentioning is that the movement uses Rolex's latest generation Chronergy escapement. In conjunction with a larger mainspring in a thinned out mainspring barrel, reprofiled train teeth, the Chronergy escapement allows the watch to attain that 70 hours of power reserve. And of course, the movement all Rolex, right down to the shock protection, which is now Rolex's own Paraflex shock protection system, no longer using KIF springs. This watch is all Rolex inside and out. Rolex Yachtmaster beaten away at 28.8. Rolex Chromolite Blue proprietary lume.